Forget everything you ever knew about eating and drinking. It's all gonna change. In a nutshell, your first month post-op will be a definite adjustment period. There is so much that you have to learn about how to eat, how to drink, how much to eat, how much to drink, when to eat, when to drink. Everything you ever knew about eating and drinking is irrelevant at this point, except for maybe the things you learned when you were a baby, because now you are feeding yourself and measuring your input like a baby. You know, it's like when you first have a child, and I don't have a child, but when you first have a child, or you're raising a child from birth, everything is new. And so it's basically like that with your new stomach. And the thing of it is, what's so funny is it's exactly like feeding an infant or a newborn, because your food will no longer be just food. You know, it's measured in terms of ounces. It is measured pretty much like hourly. You will be doing everything by the clock for the most part. You will be timing a lot of things because you don't have the ability, the capability to eat like you used to. And it's just impossible. It really is, unless I don't want to say unless something was done wrong, but unless you're just one of the very, very few who can instantly go back to their old habits, which I don't even think you would want to, because of the pain you will experience if you do that. But yeah, so let's start at like the first day post-op. Okay, the first day post-op, and again, I had surgery in I had VSG in Mexico. So the way they do it in Mexico may be totally different from how they do it in the States, but I'm sure there are many similarities, so this still applies. So the first day, you can't eat. Duh, I mean, that kind of goes without saying. You just had surgery, or major surgery, and so you can't eat. However, I wasn't even allowed to drink. The only thing I could do was gargle. You could gargle the water, but you had to spit it out. You could not swallow a thing. And so after surgery, it was either that same day, I think it was the next day, you get basically like a barium test, a swallow test, to make sure that everything is digesting properly. And then once they don't see any leaks or any issues, at that point you're allowed to have liquids. However, you can't just go hog wild crazy. You can only drink a very, 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 very small amount at a time. And it's best to purchase some like 1 or 2 ounce shot glasses, because that's basically how you're going to have to drink in ounces. And in many cases, you won't even be able to drink that entire cup at one time. It's gonna take a few sips to get that down. So for the first few days, especially like the first week, it's going to be very difficult to drink. You're not even at the eating phase yet. You're only focused on drinking now. And the amount that you drink will need to be recorded and measured, just to make sure that you are working your way back up to being able to drink, you know, properly. In addition to being able to drink properly, you're going to see just how quickly you get full. It'll probably shock you. It might even scare you, because I was kind of like, okay, am I supposed to be getting full this fast? I mean, because the first few weeks, I'm surprised I didn't get dehydrated. I'm not gonna lie. And I've heard a lot of people do get dehydrated like the first week or the first month, because of how small of an amount they're able to drink. And it's not even necessarily the ability per se, it's the fact that you don't have a desire to, so you really don't think about it in a lot of cases. So you have to set reminders. You're going to have friends and family remind you. It's like I said, everything is totally new, totally different. So that's why I said it's almost like feeding a baby and learning to feed an infant or a newborn, because you know that you typically feed them every few hours. You record how much they drink out of the bottle. You're going to be doing the same thing for yourself, in all honesty. And so the first week is going to be very difficult. So just go ahead and prepare for that for most people. And well, I guess I shouldn't even speak for most people. I should speak for myself. However, I've heard a lot of people say, you know, it was really difficult. But and it's difficult in the sense of just how small of an amount you can drink. I can't stress it enough. Because I know people who used to be able to drink like one of those 7-Eleven big cups on a lunch break, you know, in 30 minutes. But you will be lucky if you can drink 4 ounces in a couple hours, to be totally honest. I remember, I believe like my first week, it took me, or my first few weeks, when I was able to have yogurts, and I think you're allowed those typically in the first week, because that's considered pretty much liquid at room temperature. So it took me, I think, like 4 or 5 hours to get a 5-ounce yogurt cup down. So yeah, it's going to be very just different. Everything about it is going to be different. Don't even think about solid foods at this point, because you have a while to go before you can try solid foods, or at least I did, and I didn't even want to. Like I said, I had no real desire to drink. I just constantly kept setting alarms and utilizing my apps to remind me, it's time to drink, it's time to drink. And I would force myself to do it, because otherwise I wouldn't have did it. I didn't want anything to drink, and I definitely didn't even want anything to eat. I didn't want anything to eat. I didn't, just the thought of food. Well, I take that back. I didn't want anything to eat myself, but I enjoyed watching other people eat. I know that might sound strange. I wrote a post about it on my website. Additionally, you're going to want to put protein powder in everything. If you're not drinking protein shakes, you're going to want to put protein powder in almost everything. Put protein powder in your Jello. Make sure you get the yogurt with the protein, and you might want to sprinkle some protein powder in it, which I did a couple times. You're going to want to put protein powder in your soup. Protein, 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 protein will be the song of the year for you. Like, make sure you find a protein powder that you like, because you're going to need to get so much of it. And that's because, especially in the early phases, you aren't getting hardly anything in to eat or drink. So protein will be your best friend for quite a while. But I mean, it's going to be your lover like that first week /month. Also, don't get discouraged. I think some people might feel like something is wrong because of, like I said, the small amount you can eat and drink, but that's normal. You know, I believe the first month I went out to eat. Now, I know I couldn't eat. That wasn't the plan for me to eat, but I went out with a friend. and I had a bowl of clear soup, and just looking at how little of the soup I drank now is laughable. But then I was honestly trying, because I did not want to just sit there and not do anything. So I ordered a bowl of clear soup. Well, actually the waitress was nice enough to like try to strain out as much. It was a vegetable soup, and she strained out as much of the vegetables she could for me, and it was she pretty much strained out, you know, almost everything. But yeah, you won't be able to get too much of anything in, so don't get discouraged. It's just it is what it is at that point. You're also going to have to get creative, because you started out the first like 2 weeks, maybe longer depending upon your surgeon and where you had surgery, on a liquid diet. So you're going to convert back to that liquid diet after surgery. So I'm sure by now you would be tired of liquids, because I know I was, but I wasn't. Meaning I didn't really have a desire to eat, but I guess the thought of just drinking everything was getting on my nerves. Like, I didn't really want to eat, but it was getting on my nerves. So I was trying to be as creative as possible. So you're going to want to try to be as creative as you can and come up with different variations of like soups and different yogurt concoctions and different smoothie concoctions, and just do as much research as you can and look around, you know, Pinterest and Instagram and different people that you follow. Even myself, I have a bunch of different things I try to spice it up a little, because you'll just get bored. You will get bored and you will get discouraged, and you don't want to cause any damage by trying to eat too early or too soon. So get creative with the soups and the yogurts, and you know, just come up with different ways to make them. Basically, I'm not gonna say I came up with, but I tried a different bouillon cube, and it was like shrimp flavored. And when I tell you I fell in love with it, I'd never had it before. It was so good. Like, that was my go-to for a while, because I was so sick and tired of just protein shakes and 0-calorie drinks and yogurts. So I started trying to do different soups, as many different soups as I could, because it just got after a while. But yeah, the first month is your biggest adjustment period. The first day is just like, you're pretty much you're just happy surgery's over, and you will be in pain. Different people have express different levels of pain. Mine was tolerable, and I have a low tolerance for pain, so it was tolerable, it was manageable. However, you know, it truly depends, you know. So the first couple days, especially like that first day or two, don't expect much, but every day after that, you know, like that first month, you're just going to be adjusting everything that you do. You're going to really be monitoring your intake, your output in terms of urination, because that's another sign. Like, if you're not really drinking enough, you probably won't, you know, have to urinate too much. So like I said, make sure you utilize apps, because there are tons of apps that are available to you, because you need reminders. So they have apps that have preset reminders in them. You just put in the times that you want to be reminded, how often you want to be reminded. These will be your best friend, because things will not be the same. You probably used to think about food frequently and no one had to remind you to eat or drink. After surgery, it won't be like that. It will be totally different. You will more often than not, because I know this doesn't apply to everybody, more often than not, food and drinks will be the last thing on your mind. So utilize apps, monitor, you know, definitely how much you can drink to make sure that you are drinking, and just get accustomed to being able to drink a very, very small amount over a long period of time. It's going to take you a while. So So overall, in a nutshell, if I have to call the first month anything, it would be an adjustment period. So I will try to do another video like this about the preceding months. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments, and if you've already had VSG, let me know how your first month went in the comments. I would love to read about that, because my first month was, you know, it was Oh, another thing, I almost forgot to mention this. The first month, I noticed that I had a huge surge in energy. Now, I don't know if that was something normal. I don't really know what that was all about. I'm definitely not complaining, but when I returned home from Mexico, that first week I was kind of slow. You know, I wasn't immobile or anything at all. You know, I was just kind of slow. But by like the second or third week, I had so much energy. I was cleaning closets. I was cleaning up my house. I mean, because like I said, prior to surgery, I had no energy. All I would do was come home and just like eat and crash on the couch or in the bed, and that was it. Like, I did not really go out the house again unless it was for food. I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere. That was it. But I was so energized. It was crazy. I like cleaned my house. I got rid of tons of clothes. I mean, it was crazy. Like, I had a ridiculous amount of energy. So if you experienced something like that, or something just really out of the ordinary during your first month, I would love to know about it. Anyway, if you haven't already done so, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, comment, all that good stuff, and let me know your thoughts. And I will talk to you again in the next video. Okay, bye.